Dear friend, if these words touch a quiet place deep within you, then stop for a moment, take a deep breath and listen. What follows is a mirror for anyone who wants to realize who they are. When we say last life, we are not just talking about this body that is about to die. We are talking about an internal process, the end of the seeker, the end of personal desire, the end of the reactions that still drag us into the cycle of birth and death. The last life means that the soul has completed the fundamental lesson of separate experience and is ready to stop participating in that game. It is a state where there is no more person to be reborn, only the one light. Now, if you really want to know, let me take you through the 7 signs. In each section, I will describe the phenomenon, give the subtle mechanism behind it, and suggest how to turn that awareness into a path of practice. Read slowly as one listens to a sacred verse, let each sentence sink into your heart. The first sign, the soul begins to remember itself. One day, in silence, you suddenly feel something unusual. It is a feeling deep in your heart. I have known this before. I have lived here before. You hear the teachings of the sages and it feels familiar, like a call from a distant life. The mind opens, like an ancient memory rising, beyond the limits of words and time. You do not learn anything new, you only remember what already exists. This is when your soul is awakening from the long sleep of samsara. Deep down, you begin to realize, I am not this body. I am not this name. I am consciousness, eternal, free, and invisible. When the observer wakes up, from the soul's perspective, this memory is not a product of the brain. It is the awakening of the witness, the part of you that stands still, unchanging in the midst of the changing world. When you meditate, when your mind quiets, the fog of ignorance gradually dissipates. The divine seed in your heart begins to vibrate at the frequency of home, the eternal source. At that moment, a sacred current flows through your entire energy, awakening soul memory, memory without time, without space. You don't remember anyone, you just know. You don't need to look anywhere, because you realize that everywhere is home. It is the moment when pure awareness becomes the foundation of all experience, an awareness that is no longer dependent on body, name, role, or circumstance. Recalling the divine memory. Every day, take a few minutes to just sit in silence, without goals, without expectations. Ask yourself innocently, who is listening? Who is breathing? Who is living inside me? Don't analyze. Don't look for answers. Just listen with your heart. There will come a moment in that silence when you feel a warmth spreading, as if someone is gently placing their hand on your chest, whispering, "Welcome back, ancient soul." And that is when you are truly remembering yourself. The second sign, love becomes natural. When the soul begins to remember itself, the next thing that happens is your heart melts, breaks open to become infinite. You no longer love for reasons, no longer need others to be worthy of your love. Love becomes a natural breath, flowing like the morning sun that does not choose where to shine. You love because you are love. You see life pulsing in every eye, in every leaf, in every stone and wind. And you realize every form is God in another form. Love is not an emotion, it is a frequency of being. When you release fear and craving, the dust of ego falls away, revealing the primordial energy field of compassion. It is the electricity of God, flowing through you, not for morality, but for nature. It's like when you open a window, the sunlight pours in without invitation. In this state, you don't give love, you are love. You don't try to forgive, you just see nothing to forgive. you realize every suffering of others is also a cry for help from your own self. Meditate on love and discrimination. Every morning, before you start your day, sit quietly, place your hand on your heart and whisper, "May God's love flow through me, touching every soul I meet today." Breathe in, feel the love flowing through your body. Breathe out, send that energy to everyone, every living thing, every realm. Then gently add the affirmation, "I love all, but my actions are guided by wisdom." The third sign, you feel energy and understand the laws of the universe. When the third eye begins to open. For a time, you saw the world with your physical eyes, only seeing shapes, hearing sounds, and believing that was all there was. But then, one day, you began to feel with energy. You walked into a room and immediately knew whether it was filled with peace or chaos, even though no one had said a word. A person smiled, but you sensed fear behind the smile. A song, a look, a breeze, all of them sent a wave of vibration through you, making your heart touch the subtlest level of truth. This is the awakening of the spiritual sense. You no longer see with your eyes, but with your soul. No longer hear with your ears, but with the vibrations of energy. And in that silence, you understand what the sages said. The universe is music. Everything is a wave of divine consciousness vibrating in form. When prana begins to sing, as the shell of ignorance thins, your subtle energy system, prana, nadis, chakras, begins to resonate like a harmonious orchestra. You feel the flow of prana moving with each breath, and you understand that breath feeds not only the body, but the soul. At this level, wisdom transcends logic. You no longer analyze to understand, but perceive directly, as if a light shines into the center of consciousness and you know the cause, without needing to prove it. This is practical divine wisdom, where you act not out of calculation, but out of full awareness of the energy flow of truth. You begin to understand the law that goes beyond all dogma. Thoughts create vibrations, vibrations shape reality. Every thought is a signal sent into the cosmic grid, the quantum field of God's consciousness, and it responds with the same frequency. Listen to the cosmic music. Every day, practice prana awareness meditation. Sit still, close your eyes, and focus your attention on your breath, but don't control it. Feel the prana flowing in through your nose, through your heart, and throughout your body as subtle light. Listen to the soundless sound, nada, the spiritual current that flows through you. When your mind is calm enough, you will feel the connection between your personal energy and the universal energy. The fourth sign, no more fear of death. For most of humanity, death is taboo, a fear hidden in every act of survival. But for the soul that has almost completed its journey, death is no longer an enemy, but a door of return. You begin to feel a strange peace when you think about the end of the body. You no longer panic, no longer run away from the idea of death. Instead, you feel a gentle call from beyond, like an invitation from the Universal Mother. You have played long enough in the garden of the earth, now come home. When the ego dies before the body dies. The fear of death is born from the illusion that we are the body. When the knowledge I am eternal consciousness becomes alive, the ego begins to disintegrate. You realize that this body is just a garment for the soul, temporarily worn in the school of the earth. Death is just a change of clothes, a change of class to a brighter realm. When this awareness takes root, fear disappears like morning dew in the sunlight. You look at your body aging, changing, and smile. Well, this ship has taken me far away, and when it reaches the dock, I will leave it with gratitude. Meditate on impermanence and eternal light. Practice a Nitya Bhavana meditation every day. Not to become sad, but to awaken gratitude and wisdom. Sit quietly, visualize the body as smoke dissolving into nothingness, while the light of awareness is still there, bright, unchanging, peaceful. Feel, I am not this body, I am the light observing this body. When you do this deeply enough, death loses its power. Yogananda once said, "Death is but a dream within a dream." When you awaken the light of God, you will laugh and say, "Oh, I never died." The fifth sign, karma dissolves like smoke. You no longer create new karma. Challenges still come, but you are no longer drawn into reacting. When someone offends you, you are as calm as a lake, not because you are holding back, but because there is no one left to hurt. When loss occurs, you do not collapse, you just observe and smile as a witness. The old karma gradually dissolves, like the wind carrying away the mist. Karma exists as long as there is a doer and a receiver. When you realize that every action is just a vibration of divine energy, there is no one behind the scenes controlling it, the bondage of karma dissolves. This is the wisdom of non-action, where action occurs in stillness. All emotional reactions are illuminated by awareness, so no new cause is born. People who no longer create karma become light as clouds, free from cause and effect. But they still live in the collective karma field. The world still tests them to test their compassion. At this point, karma is no longer a bondage, but an opportunity to manifest love. Inner skill helps them to be present in life, but not be bound by it. Whenever emotions arise, do not rush to correct or suppress them. Just ask, who is reacting? Just see clearly that energy will dissolve itself. Practice karma yoga, act mindfully without expecting results. When everything is done in the light of awareness, karma cannot arise. The sixth sign, consciousness merges into sacred silence. Meditation can still happen without sitting in meditation. When washing dishes, when looking at the moonlight, when listening to the sound of cars, you still feel a fundamental stillness permeating every movement. In a noisy crowd, you hear the sound of the void. Every word, every action arises from silence, then returns to silence. When the mind is trained through countless rounds of purification, pranayama, mantra, bhakti, or deep meditation, the coarse vibrations subside. At the peak, the meditator disappears, leaving only pure awareness. This is the state Lao Tzu called the Tao is always without action but without non-action, absolute silence but with infinite creative energy. From that silence, words become healing, looks compassionate. But the practitioner may mistakenly think that he or she has left the world. In fact, silence is not separate from life, it is the very essence of life. When you are truly silent, everything in life becomes sacred. Cooking, talking, working are all meditations. Listen within, not to the sound, but to the listener. Keep your breath as a door to silence. Don't seek silence, let it reveal itself in the midst of all the noise. One day you realize, silence is the voice of God. Seventh sign, no more living person, only God manifests. All becomes simple. Everything you do flows, as if guided by an invisible hand. There is no more I choosing, only the flow of life expressing itself through this body-mind. When you help others, you do not see merit. When you are offended, you do not see anyone being hurt. You live as the wind blows, the flowers bloom, the sun shines, natural, undemanded, and full of light. Inside the action. When the ego dissolves completely, absolute consciousness, Brahman, becomes the only reality. There is no longer observer and observed. All boundaries dissolve, there is only pure being. This is the ultimate union, where Buddha said, Nirvana is the extinction of ego, and Jesus said, I and the Father are one. The one who has attained it no longer has a spiritual journey because there is no one to go forward or back. But their very presence becomes a living blessing. A smile from them can dissolve suffering, a look from them reminds others of their divine nature. However, it is necessary to distinguish. The feeling of I am a channel of the universe can be an illusion if there is still a need to prove it. The only sign of truth, the absence of fear, unconditional peace, and limitless love. Drop all spiritual pursuits. Do not seek God, let go of the self that is seeking. Sit still, ask, who is there? Give without anyone giving, love without anyone loving. Live like a hollow instrument, let God play His own music. The mission of the one who completes the journey. The return of the free soul. The one who completes the journey does not disappear from the universe, they return as an invisible, gentle, humble fragrance, but with a profound impact on every listening soul. They do not do anything, but their presence is a teaching. A look, a smile, a simple word from them can open the door to liberation for others, because the energy in them no longer comes from the limited mind, but from the source of universal love and wisdom. It is no longer the transmitter, but life speaking. At this level, there is no longer a teacher, learner. There is only life, speaking through each mouth, looking through each eye, loving through each heart. The enlightened person no longer says, I know, I have attained, because he clearly sees that there is no I. They just smile, letting the universal love flow through them. In every breath, they are meditating. In every action, they are praying. They eat, they walk, they talk, they laugh, all is music played by the Supreme Being. That is when the real work of the soul begins. No longer living for oneself, but living to remind the world that all is God, in every form, in every dust mote, every ray of sunlight, every person finding their way home. Reality after the last life. After the last life, the soul does not dissolve into nothingness, but opens like a drop of water into the ocean, yet still knowing that it is the ocean. There is no more rebirth, because there is no one left to be reborn. There is no more journey, because there is no one left to go. There is only infinite consciousness, the eternal light that illuminates itself. Conclusion: when the journey home is done. When people reach their final life, they do not pass into another world, they simply awaken from a long dream. They realize that, right here, in every breath, God has always been present. There is no beginning, no ending, only infinite love shining through all forms. And when the soul reaches that place, where there is no attainer, no journey, no goal, all searching vanishes like morning dew in the sun. There is only pure life, singing, loving, meditating through all forms. Yogananda once said, "Liberation is not an end, but the beginning of infinite love, where the soul becomes the breath of God." And you, who are reading these words, know that this light lives within you. Not far away, not in the sky, but in this heartbeat, in this breath, in this loving thought. Listen, because it is God whispering to you to come home.